Hello everyone, good morning, good morning. Come on in. Just waiting for a few people to get here. It's nice to see you all. If you're seeing this, be sure to share the live. Let everyone know that I'm here, that I'm booking classes, and that I'm here for all of you. So this is, it's sort of like, an introduction, a sermon. I give you an idea of like what it is that I do as a creator, as an educator, and we kind of go from there. So I'm just going to wait for a few more people to arrive here. And we'll take it from there. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. We're just waiting for a few more people to get in here. And we'll go from there. So this particular live is, like I said, it's going to be about me kind of explaining what it is that I do, why I do it, how I came to be an educator and a tutor, and what it is that I can help you with when tutoring. So if you book me for a class, then I would be able to tutor you in a few subjects. I also have custom subjects, but they are in the vein of technology and applied theory in tech. So it's spiritual theory, it's intellectual theory, it's formulaic theory. It's any of the above, really. Thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate those taps on the screen. Thank you. Let's keep them up. Thanks so much. Very cool. Shout out to Whatever a lot for being here. Tap that screen. Okay. Let's wait for a few more people to get here. If you would be interested in sharing the live, that would be just fine too. Thank you. Everyone, if you are interested in joining my fan club, all you would have to do is power up your gifts with about 50 cents to $1, and you'd be able to buy some gifts and post them into the chat here so that I could continue going live and bringing all of you lovely people together in my live sessions. So just for this morning, I'd like to make a few announcements before we begin. There was a Patreon post that I just posted up, including an additional post for the morning where I introduced my new soap brand. It's the OXTG soaps. This is a revision from the soap market thing that I had in 2019 or 2020, where I was producing handmade soaps and giving them out to people. Now, this is not only an option for a prize giveaway, but I also posted that on the Patreon, where you can also you could purchase subscriptions to my Patreon in support of me. So without further ado, we're going to get into the description of what it is that I do here. My name is Tired Goth. I am a survivor of human trafficking, and I'm also a survivor of intellectual property extortion. So I, of all people, would probably be the best person to speak with about what it is that you need to know about how your data is sold to third parties, extorted, exploited, and left you without any type of profit to gain from it. These things happen for a number of reasons, but one of the strangest reasons that these occurrences usually target certain people for their ideas and their artistic creativity is because it is actually a spiritual issue that we're addressing. And while a lot of people may not understand the depth of spiritual integrity and what it is that we need to have in the way of spiritual integrity when dealing with one another, spiritual attacks are real. They are. They're very real. And one of the things that I'd like to highlight here is in my classes that I teach, not only do I teach tech classes, but I also teach spiritually infused tech classes. Now, I know that sounds crazy. People would probably be like, well, that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but no. Spiritual attacks are actually a modern and core component of a lot of attacks that people might be experiencing in their data, in their technology, because technology moves so quickly that it proves to be a very efficient and swift, brief type of attack that a person could receive through their technology in the way of a spiritual attack. So for example, if someone is sending you negative intentions through a screen as they're texting you, that will reflect upon your spiritual prowess and how good you are at blocking that ahead of time. So that's one facet of it, but it's not the whole. We need to know how tech works in order to be able to assess how tech will work for us, right? So what we want to do with these classes is get people aligned and in tune with what it is that they need to know fundamentally about how the machines work in order to carry it forward into a position where they can use the machine to help them do what they want to do, help them accomplish what it is they're set out to do. And some people will say, oh, I'm very tech savvy. Some people will say, I'm not very tech savvy. Some people will say, I don't want to explain what I know about computers. And that's fine too. The reason why that's fine is because privacy and security are also a highly effective applied component to the use of devices. Now, this is not just limited to, oh, I set a password, so it's a set and forget, I'm fine, kind of security and privacy option. It's more that if you are practicing active privacy and security, you are also monitoring who you share your ideas, your schedules, anything with. This has to do with you, especially if you are a content creator. You want to make sure that you have a very good handle on what it is that you are presenting to the public to assure that what you present isn't exploited away from your ownership of that idea because you came up with it. You're the pioneer, so you deserve to be honored as the pioneer. This is what my class integrates spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, and monetarily with itself. And there are a number of facets of my courses that you can explore. There are multiple courses that cover this. Thank you for the likes, by the way. I'm very grateful. 2.1K. Let's keep them up. Keep them going. It's amazing. The things that are necessary to pay attention to here are spiritual attacks influencing how much work can actually feasibly be done by one person, right? Because some people are very blessed to have no impedances on their work, and other people get attacked for being able to do the work without impedance. You see the difference there? So some people actually use magic, and they say that they don't. They'll promise you up and down that they don't use magic in any way, shape, or form. But this is not true. Magic is something as simple as someone casting doubt on your ideas before they can surface. Someone saying a nasty thing to you before you hop on your live. It's this type of vibration, this type of disinclusion to your own ownership of self, right? These things are issues because they cast an energetic cloud over the person who is trying to remain within their best and highest resonance of operation. And when you realize that in life, everything comes down to frequencies and frequency resonances, sort of like tuning in through a radio and figuring out where it is we are on a station, right? This is what life really is. And this is exactly why those attacks are sent the way that they are, vibrationally, emotionally, psychically, intellectually. Someone disparaging your intelligence over a grade or over a thing that you said, over an opinion you hold that's dear to your heart. That's an emotional attack. Someone saying you don't have enough money to hang out with them. That's a financial attack. These things manifest depending on how much energy you feed to them. So if you are actively giving concern to something that someone said. You're feeding that energy that you have that is precious to the sentiment that someone wanted to set upon you. So what it is that you need to do is become very detached, right? This is a portion of my negative trust course. If you'd like to see what else I can teach you, I am available for remote courses, and I charge a very decent fee for what it is I can accomplish in about an hour in the way of my explanations to the art of detachment, and how it is that you can save your breath with a bunch of these things. Also, if you order the same class twice, it won't be the same the first and second time. The first will probably explain something in a certain way, and then if you are a repeat customer and you'd like, I guess you could say if you'd like an expansion, you can reorder the class and I will take note of your expansion. Just let me know. Let me know, like, I'm back, I'd like an expansion on my course, and I can help you with that. Thanks so much for joining my live. So the negative trust course is something that really highlights the importance of knowing how to integrate your own authentic trust in order, your authenticity and your authentic trust, I should say. And this is what ends up carrying over into your practices. So it's a lot of meditating, not the class itself, but assessing things for the threats that they are or aren't, because this is a threat intel assessment course. Requires a lot of meditation and a lot of points of reference. I'm just going to grab a sip of my coffee here because we're about to get into a very in-depth section of this. It's like a triple shot of caffeine in a sip. I happen to like coffee a lot, so I drink a lot of coffee. I drink coffee. I don't know if you're coffee people. Thank you for the likes. 3.3 thousand likes. My goodness, thank you so much. Okay, just gonna put some music on here. So the way that this has tended to work out is negative trust as a reflection of the self is actually something that you hone within yourself intuitively. So it's something that you basically hone as a skill set of detection. You would be working within parameters where you have something that needs to be seen, observed, or assessed as a threat or a component that would be an irritant to what it is that you're trying to do. And then you would carefully observe this for the points of reference that you previously have had with other threats. And you would take note of this. You would take note of what it is that creates sort of like a difference or an inability to pin the threat in order to assess it. You would take notes of the things that they did, behaviors that they had, things that would irritate you, things that would give you like difficulty in your ability to navigate the playing field. And when I say playing field, it's more of like navigating your environment to see whether or not it's safe enough for you to produce data. When I say produce data, it's like if you walk into a room and you have a big business proposal and someone is like right across the room and you happen to know intuitively that something isn't right about their presence there, but you can't quite pin it. You can't quite sense what that is in a way that you can articulate. You can't express it properly just yet, right? This type of energy is what it is that negative trust helps you with, because it's an intuitive reasoning course that says if you are experiencing this psychologically or emotionally, and these things are causing a barrier, then is it a perceived barrier or is it an actual barrier? Are you manifesting the barrier or are you observing a barrier that could be necessary to build. So it's the type of thing that helps kind of structuralize threats and helps structuralize how we react to the threats. If anyone is in here and would like to help me with my flash goal, this is also something you can do. I need 3 gifters sent to me in 15 minutes. I need 3 gifters to gift me something in 15 minutes. That's the flash goal. Play with that as you prefer and as you like, because that's pretty fun. But yeah, what it is when it comes to the negative trust aspect, not only are you using a method in natural technology security, or I should say natural technological security, called zero trust, where the baseline for trust is basically nothing. It has no value until the value is presented and then matched, and then it is authenticated as true. Think of passwords, right? That is a zero trust method. So the zero trust method for passwords is this. You have a blank slate. It's an input method, and you are trying to input the password to gain access to a machine. Now, is this your machine or is this someone else's machine? Is going to factor the difficulty level of you gaining the zero trust access, right? Now, zero trust is lenient compared to negative trust, because negative trust actually allows you to navigate things intuitively first, to assess how your body feels about a perceived threat, and then builds data sets from there. Where zero trust is just like, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're a threat. You could be a threat. You could be the owner of this computer. You could not be the owner of this computer. But if you have the password, I'm going to let you in. Right? That is basically how the threat is assessed. And so that is also why it's a bit more problematic these days, because of the amount of the assumptions of identity that occur that create rifts for the type of information integrity that is really being presented here. So if you are a person who is interested in the zero trust method being amplified by the negative trust method, I can teach you how to do this. This is one of the courses I teach, and I'm super jazzed to be the person teaching it to you. So let's say, continuing with the zero trust method, you take information, you take a password or whatever, you type it in. You don't even have to be the person who owns the machine, but you have a password, right? You take this method and you type it in, and you match the password, because you somehow gained access to this machine, right? That is a zero trust method. Now, a negative trust method would be a completely unbiased third party being in the hallway as this is happening, walking by, watching you type that password, but being able to recognize that you actually have no ability to log into that machine with credentials, right? Because they know the person who owns that machine. Or at least they know all the teachers in the school, or they know all the people who are around you on a daily basis, and they've never seen you before. So intuitively, they are assessing you top to bottom for any threatful behavior. This is more the vein of negative trust. It is honing your intuition and giving you points of reference that will actually enhance your ability to assess a threat accurately, based on the points of references that I myself, as a person who survived human trafficking, had been around. I have something of a cheat code that I can provide you in the way of what to assess, both online when things are not visible, and offline in person when you are around physical threat entities, to figure out where your territory is. Now, everyone, if you have read The Art of War before, The Art of War presents the idea that in the case that you are presented with a threat, you always need to know your territory before you engage. And knowing your territory is crucial because it assures success for you. This is another part of the classes that I tutor and teach. It teaches what it is that you need to know in the way of your threats to protect yourself and others, and to achieve a successful outcome in not only assessing them, but evading the threats. And in the case that you are not able to evade, you can also engage in the full-on necessary combat that you have engaged in to get away from them. So it's intense. It is not for the weak. It is something to be considered for the sake of human safety, and it is integratable into many parts of your life. It's this negative trust concept that I've developed. Take zero trust of computer security, like just, typing in a password and making it simple, and then brings it to an elevated perspective where the entire world is this subconscious ocean. And it's a matter of where you plug these intuitive vibes into to gain the most information. And what people won't tell you is that in the case that you are talking to people on the internet, you are in a very subconsciously ruled realm. You are in the realm of what astrologers would refer to as the Neptunian realm, or like the psychic realm. Because everything that is presented online is actually rather ineffective at conveying what's actually there. It's almost like taking a deep dive into the ocean and just saying, okay, I guess there are fish here, but I can't see them. This is the internet. You need to assess the guppies from the sharks. You need to know the difference. And this is something that in the case that you are taking a negative trust course, you'll have full access to. So I charge by hour for the courses, and respectfully, as much as I receive and appreciate the invitations to co-host with you, I'm here to teach. So if you're into teaching as well, you can help with that. But yeah, so this is essentially what this is. If you're interested in booking my classes, there's a button here that you can look into. And I just want to make sure that the content disclosure thing is on too, because while it says that, these are what my lives are for, I want to make sure that these are here. Okay, cool. So going into the discourse for negative trust, why is it called negative trust as opposed to, zero trust with, I guess, a little spice to it, right? Because negative trust takes the inherent property of there being a baseline for trust and lowering it beneath the zero line. It is assuming that every environment is already impacted with threats, and it's a matter of assessing the threats for what they are, where they are, and not necessarily building a social credit scheme off of it, because that's not ideal, actually. But what it is that we want to do is this. We want to be able to assess the behaviors that common threats habitate in, that they use, and we want to send this as sort of a beacon of points of reference to people. We want to say, hey, okay, so if you are in a position to identify a threat and you don't have like the ability to, let's put it this way, like if you don't have the ability to really like figure out where you are on a certain terrain, you want that ability. So what you would be doing is you would be assessing the issues that you would have with other people or other situations and trying to pinpoint them to things. Now, again, we don't want to turn this into a social credit thing because people will purposely damage social credit. It's a very bad schematic for accurate results and reporting, because even if you do fulfill what you call honest reports, it's biased. If your friend doesn't like someone and you don't like someone, that could easily be what ruins a person's social credit report. So it's not accurate reporting based on their skill sets, abilities, and what it is that they could provide to an environment. It's just not, it's not a trusting, thing to do for a person to put them in any type of social judgment accreditation situation. So the way that I'm seeing this here is if you would be interested in learning more about how to assess these threats, and I have these answer keys, then you can book me for a class. I receive payments by PayPal and Cash App. You can message me to figure, what your course interest would be. One class is 1 hour and it's $100. I want to say it's like $99. So it seems expensive and you learn a lot. I'm serious, like you learn a lot. It's a very condensed course. I can book you all for group sessions so you all learn in a class setting as well online, or alternatively, I can also set up individual one-on-one sessions. It's completely up to you and what your schedule is open for. But I am sincere when I say that when it comes to threat assessment, there is a lot to be spoken for. There's a lot to be expected in the way that you gather your information. It's a lot of open source intelligence. It's a lot of what is already made available to you, and then further exploring into that. However, you need to be careful, because in this arena of intelligence, you also have a lot of stalking that happens. You have a lot of stalking. You have a lot of issues with personal and integrated privacy. You have a lot of interest in what it is that's being presented to you as like a mode of operation. And you want to make sure that even as you're researching, that the information that is being provided to you is unbiased. You want to go to forums. You want to explore non-biased communication about the fact. So more focus on papers and less focus on opinions. More focus on other things that have to do with what it is that you're trying to assess for yourself. Like if you're trying to assess your children's safety on the internet and you want to void out predators who could be trying to communicate with your children for illicit activities, what you would want to do is you would want a point of reference for what it is a predator would be interacting as. Like, would they be interacting as a parental figure? Would they be interacting as a friend? Would they be talking about hobbies that they themselves hold, or would they be talking about what your kid likes to do? If you were worried about them luring your child somewhere, how would you keep tabs on that honestly without threatening the child's, fear, and like triggering some sort of a fear response? You want to make sure that you are, especially in these situations, a trusted party that breeds an air of trust. See, the negative trust environment actually forces honesty in a sense. Not forces it, but encourages it so much that the entire environment will actually expose a threat, because the entire environment is so healthily honest that the threat will just show itself. It's sort of like, going back to the water example, if water is too shallow and you stand in it, you're exposed, right? This is exactly what the type of honesty or clarity that a negative trust environment would actually naturally have in order to expose a threat. So maybe the water isn't shallow, but perhaps it's very clear, and the water that is presenting what is inside of it is exposing what is lurking beneath its surface very easily, very transparently. This is what the negative trust environment, as a result of its practical methods, is able to provide to people who are observing it or even participating in it. So what does a negative trust environment require in order to create this subconscious and this fully conscious piece, right? Well, what it actually requires is a lot of internet security and privacy. So this is something that would probably, for best measure and practice, be operating on an onion router or an onion leaf that is connected to an onion service. I'm not talking about Tor necessarily, because Tor does have some joined aspects there, where Tor will provide coverage, but it will not actually provide what it is that, the environment requires for full integrated privacy. Because what happens is a lot of disruptions can happen even on the internet security forums that you're using to interrupt your full sense of control and your chi in the matter. Now, I understand people would be like, why is it a question of chi now? Where did this come from? Chi is important because chi is something that will allow you to understand where your energy bends and where it centralizes. The concept of chi, or energy, your energetic field, is just, it's the type of vibrations that you would be able to pick up, assess, and then also manifest forward for yourself. So if you have a negative mindset about something, but you're trying to manifest something with this negative mindset, you're going to manifest very negative responses to that energy. Supposing you're trying to grow a plant, and the whole time you're panicking about this plant not growing properly. You're worrying about someone else's plant being better than yours, and so on and so forth. That plant is going to grow, and then the plant is going to get sick, because what you're doing is you're manifesting your chi into the soil of the plant and into your actions to ground them into a poor circumstance for what it is you're building. So it's important to carry high vibrations when you go into a situation. It's important to meditate and to keep your mind as clear and as focused on you yourself as possible, to then bring an energy where what you're manifesting is equally authentic. And it doesn't mean that you have to like everything that's in front of you. It's just to say that you're central, you're aligned, right? You're aligned with who you are and what your purpose is. And from here, your information, the data pools that come to you from here, make a big difference in how it is that you perceive your own abilities and circumstances. So if you are measuring a negative trust environment for its trust factors, you would actually be using your own intuition as a soundboard for what it is that you would be doing. You would be using your information as, again, a soundboard, a ping check for other people's energy. Because if you yourself know that you possess a certain type of energy and that you gravitate toward like energies, alternatively, you can also flip your vibe around and be someone and act like someone you are not in order to gravitate those exact energies to you in order to lure them in. This is called not only threat observation, but threat luring, right? This is a method that I developed. It is similar to what I could only guess investigators tried to put forth, even though investigators actually have a very stoic and sort of plain-faced ambition to collect information and move on from what it is that they're trying to do. However, threat luring becomes very intense because what you're doing is you're acting. You are method acting to draw forth and manifest people to you in order to see what they are about in an up-close and personal and intimate way, which means that you actually could inadvertently implicate yourself as the person who seems like someone who is a person or party of interest to these things, but you're not. It's actually a very selective method for targeting. And the reason it is used in targeting is because it's actually a counter target. Hello, thank you for joining my live. So in threat assessment, and especially my negative trust course, you learn the methods that actually gravitate your threats to you in order to silently observe them and to create no actual barrier between your comprehension of your threat and what is in front of you, to have personal, up-close references and reference points with which to build. If you like this live so far, make sure to tap that screen just like this to send some hearts to me. Okay, you want to tap that screen. There you go. Thank you for the hearts. 4.6K and counting. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. So, going back to what it is that we're discussing here with the negative trust and threat assessment evolution. Zero trust was always an input-based type of security, although it could also apply to security measures. If you are doing security as a door guard, you would also have a sort of zero trust method for identification based on who has already been seen by you. But this is physical security and also not software security, so it's a little different. But what I will say is that with negative trust, your threat assessment is not at a zero base where you're waiting for something to match. You actually are working in an even lesser known type of territory and environment where whatever it is that you would be putting forth is actually controlled by your own chi. It's controlled by your own vibration. So if you are doing something especially extensive and you don't want to get too close to the practices of the person, but you do want to get close to what it is that they do to behave a certain way and what it is their motive is, then you would actually be behaving like them. You would mirror a lot. You would do a lot of mirroring to attract your threat to you. But this is not the prime focus. The goal is not to maintain this energy for a long time. It's to maintain it long enough to do your research and then release it. So it is very important that your focus is on releasing the information, the habits, and the things that you got used to while you were in the method acting role. And I say this because if you are method acting, you need to know when to turn it off. It's not an adoption of your personality or an integration of your personality. It's actually just a throwaway Halloween mask, right? That's essentially what it becomes. Your life becomes a series of masks when you're fully operant in the negative trust energy. However, what I am going to say is that this type of information can be very difficult, to assess what it is that you're really like looking at, at first glance, at first impulse. So what it is that's happening here is you're basically, who's badge? Oh, okay. You're basically working within a realm where you're cloaking. You're cloaking a lot, but it's important to throw all of that away once you're done with it, because what you're really there to do is take notes. You're there to take notes. You're not there to adopt a whole personality, to have a schizophrenic episode. You're not there to do that. And another thing that's super important about this is when you're talking about, like, what else is there to... Oh, when you're talking about this in relation to technology, this is crucial, okay? You're going to encounter a lot of people who are going to know what you're doing. Hence, it is so much more important to just work alone. You don't want to introduce too much about yourself. You want to maintain a very low profile. You want to adopt the importance of being a nobody. Because the flashier you are, the more you're going to have to explain about how you got so flashy, what your alliances are, and sure, you can turn it into an act, and a lot of people do, but with respects to negative trust, your entire presentation is an act. It's an act and a focus point. It is directed, and it should not be abused for every situation. It's actually meant to be used, it's meant to be used, how did you, whatever a lot. I just saw that you purchased a course through Patreon. How did you purchase a course through Patreon? My courses are not on Patreon. They're here in TikTok, or you can message me and I'll arrange a schedule with you. But thank you for joining the live. Thanks so much. Okay, so negative trust in general as a class course is very important when you're structuralizing what it is you're trying to do, when you're measuring threats, when you're seeing what it is that you're doing. And I want to thank you for tuning in and for making a point to be here today to support my work and to support my Patreon. If you have any questions, just message me, let me know. I'd be super happy to hear from you, and to see you. And it would be amazing to book with you. And I do a lot of my classes, just so you know, through Jitsi. Jitsi Meet is a video service that's completely free. It's sort of like Zoom. It's just, it doesn't have all the hang-ups of Zoom. Like, I could just log in with my email address and get into the circumstance of teaching with you, your group, whoever you invited. It is $100 per person per hour. So those are my course rates. They're highly effective. And thank you so much for this. And if you booked a class, just message me and I can lead you to your next class course. Okay. Okay, very cool. Thanks for joining me here. And thank you to everyone else who joined. Okay, so thanks so much for the compliments. We are going to start drawing this to a close. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comment section below, and I'll handle that for you. No questions? So yeah, negative trust, just so you know, just a little background on this, because I realized I didn't actually divulge this. The reason why the negative trust aspect became so important to me is because I was actually hunting threats for a very long time. And I wasn't just bug hunting on a computer or on a software service. I was hunting literal, actual threats to my community, in the sense where anyone who would be preying on local children near the school that I had lived near. I lived near a school at the time, and I was very, very concerned with the state of foot traffic that was going near the school. There was a lot of immigration there, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it is a thing to pay attention to when you can't understand what's being told to a child as they're very upset. I understand that children cry. I understand that there is, energy that you may not be able to read for what it is or understand because of the nature of what's being discussed and what language it's being discussed in. So while this is a vulnerability potentially in assessing a threat locally, and you don't understand what it is that could be happening, this is also something that needs to be assessed properly. So supposing there was a threat going on, you would want to know keywords for how to assess said threat. For example, if you see a young child and an older person standing together and the child looks visibly distressed and you hear the word she/sheen, that could be an indicator that someone is trying to lure them into a questionable state over what is curious to them, or what they could be curious about. So it helps to learn different languages as a prototype kind of threat assessment, point of reference, I guess you could say, for what your own behavior and what your threshold of attempt should be. You should be able, thank you so much for joining, you should be able to join your tasks and skill sets together in an integrated sense. So for example, if you are assessing the threat of a child who doesn't speak English for what is happening to them, you need to know bits and pieces of those languages. So part of your ability to assess threats would be picking up new languages. It would be, being able to counter threats at their every stage of impact. So for example, if you walk up to someone and realize that they are a threat because they are asking a child very personal questions in a language that is not your native language, but you can hear bits and pieces of this, this is also something that you want to be able to know how to do. And if you like this live, do tap that button, to tap the screen like this to let me know that you like the live, and keep them going, because that gives me heart points and I really like those. Thank you for joining. So when I was doing threat hunting locally to the place that I had lived near before, it became really intense because the majority of the people around me were not speaking the same language that I learned, right? And I had to learn new languages. Not only this, but I also had to assess whether or not these people were just minding their business or orchestrating things, because if you are in an environment that is mixed with organized crime and locals just living their lives, it's going to have an impact on the types of communications you end up needing to pay attention to. This isn't just limited to language. This is limited or expanded from, just languages into body language. It's expanded into what threats sound like versus what it means to just handle certain tasks and have some annoyance projected back to you. This is assessing, legitimate threats from just one-off circumstances. This is assessing the difference between people who are the problem causing the threat and gaslighting and masking so that they aren't detected, versus what it is that we would be doing as people to discover them, to uncover them. And there are people who crack jokes all the time about discoveries being so illegitimate because they don't provide enough information. But the truth of the matter is discoveries are important, because even the documentation of discovery from what it is that you yourself and others have noticed, and these combined collections of data over the course of time provide an accurate assessment of what it is that is really going on. And this is what I mean about starting at a level of trust that is so far below the baseline that it's almost like your distrust is feeding your ambitions to get to the baseline of truth, where the baseline of truth is so far above your head that your own scrutiny and its practices are what is going to build it up to a place where you can actually get to the heart of the threat and potentially weed it out before it causes any sort of unnecessary and very crucial impact and harm to what it is that you're trying to protect. So if the goal is to assure a good balance of decency, behavior, honesty, and the cultivation of such an environment, then what you really want to operate in is not a zero trust level, but something more aligned and akin to negative trust. And with that, it's going to take a lot of detail orientation and a lot of points of reference to assert what it is that is actually dangerous. Because while each people will consider that it's frightening to assess the threat, or perhaps there's not enough information to go by, it could be difficult, whatever the complaints are, they tend to cease once the person is actively seeking what it is that's there and what it is that is being presented in such a way that if, the person is saying, okay, well, I feel this is a threat, and then it's visited and revisited to no avail, it has to do with the type of data that the person is looking for. And these points of reference that I can teach you in this class, among other technology-based classes that have a little bit more to do with the exploration of the tech, like, the hardware itself, the laptops, the devices, the phones, whatever, versus what it is that you would be intuitively reasoning with yourself to gain clarity on what it is you're observing with your hardware and software while you're online. So you can integrate these classes, you can order more than one at a time. I will make the time to teach you. And I am open to group sessions as well. So if you and a friend or a bunch of your friends are all interested in taking this course, each of you would need to join the link that I send you over, but each person would simply pay the fee that it is to book me for the class courses, and we would take it from there. And then you would be able to book me for as many sessions as you like. Each of my sessions are 1 hour each. If you need an extended session, we'll talk about it in a DM. I'm not open to discussing it here in the live because I feel like it's a little too personal. Just DM me and we'll take it from there. And if you are interested in booking me for a class today, do reach out to me here in the live if you're present, or feel free to send me a message, contact me, and get me to a point where I can actually reach out to you either via email or however you prefer to. We can arrange these things. Be very careful because a lot of scammers also use WhatsApp. I actually prefer to use IRC for this reason, because I run channels in IRC where you can find me and you will know that it is me, the admin, that you would be discussing these topics and situations with. So if you are able to log into IRC via web, it would be irc.libera.chat/#. Well, if you get there, just irc.libera.chat is where you would, put in your username and what have you. And then you would put in, an address, and my address is #academia, ACADEMIA, Gothica, GOTHICA. And this is the room that you would find me in. You would type join, like /join, and then type in the room that you'd like to join, and you can find me there. And I would be able to answer all of your questions as I am present in the chat at the moment. But if you would like to arrange a WhatsApp meeting with me, I can also provide you my phone number, and you can come contact me on WhatsApp, and I will be able to take it from there with you. I'm not going to reach out to you first on WhatsApp. I will give you my phone number for WhatsApp, and then you will be able to contact me at will, and we can take the class course scheduling from there. Keep in mind, it's $100 a person, but it is such a competitive rate for what I am going to be able to teach you and what you are going to walk away with from this course that you might be really happy you took this over a Google certification course. I'm just saying. This is stuff that helped me through one of the worst situations I feel a person could really go through in their life, being targeted and being put up as sort of like a financial sacrifice. You know, these things are really happening. Financial security and FinSec are not going to be discussing it as openly, but these are real and viable threats and real viable choices that people think that they have to make when opening insurance policies, but they are not. They're actually highly morally offensive, illegal, and whether or not a court of law is going to acknowledge it as evil in this case or in the future across your current or over state lines, these are the types of things that we need to discuss and assess properly, because if they aren't assessed properly, many people could lose their lives, and we are in essence a life fabric. We all work with one another. We are interoperating with one another on a daily basis. So if there is a situation that requires your attention, then do reach out, do talk to me about it, do contact me, message me. Make sure that you're contacting me, because I will respond to you with my best advice, especially if you're being genuine, and I will know if you're not. Then definitely contact me and I will be able to help you hone your threat assessment tools, so maybe you can become as good at assessing them as I am. Not to brag, but why not? Sure. So do we have any questions? Do we have any questions, reservations? What's going on here? No one? Not yet? This is an interactive chat, so feel free to speak freely and let me know what it is you thought of the material presented to you, your interest in the course. I am booking courses for today. I'm booking classes all week. I am available all week. Make sure to share this live and make sure that you're sharing it with people who would be interested, and then we'll take it from there. And yes, if you do have any questions or you would like to book me for classes, just make sure you click on my name here in the chat and follow me and add me to your chat list, so you can message me and we'll take it from there, and I will be able to contact you there. Okay? So just make sure that you're paying attention, make sure that you're following me. If you're in this chat and you're not following me, I'm going to be confused as to what it is that I can do for you, because these lives will only capture the footage, and then I'll only be able to chat with people who are like interacting with me, if that makes sense. So make sure you interact with me, make sure you follow, make sure you message, and make sure that you're making yourself available so I know who you are. Thank you for joining the live. Thanks so much. So to wrap up this course this course explanation about what services I offer, thanks so much for joining the chat. This is a negative trust, intuitive reasoning wrap up and introduction to the course. I hope you all liked it. If you're interested in learning more about how to make effective threat assessments and threat security methods with assessments by building your own threat models, and I see that you're asking me what I teach and how it will help young women growing in this post-Epstein society. So everyone, if you are paying attention, people have already suffered enough at the grave attempts at intelligence that people thought that they had by grooming people with abuse. And a lot of it was very intimately formed abuse. It was abuse meant to debilitate them psychologically and have long-standing, long-term physical and psychological effects. So my course can actually teach people very effectively how to assess what these threats proverbially smell like from afar, based on points of reference, based on themes, thematics, situations that have been encountered by me, myself, and have been developed through research by listening to other survivor stories in order to best integrate these impactful statements and to sort of gain a navigational theme for this. So if this is something that interests you, feel free to book a class with me, message me, and we can discuss further details from there. And I'm very grateful for your presence. You're very welcome. All of you are welcome to join me for a class. Keep in mind, I also want to put out there, because I said it before, there are group classes that I do, meaning that you and several other people can all join in on the same chat box, and we can all learn together at the same time. So if this is an integrated course that you would like to join, do indicate that for me. Let me know in the message. I want this to be a group setting, and each person will log in, and before we begin, we will have the payment methods sorted out and set, okay? Either by the beginning of the course or the end of the course, you all have to have your payments set. But this is something I would really like for everyone to take very seriously, because while I teach for free, and I'm no stranger to teaching for free at the library, this is information that is both pertinent and potentially dangerous. There are liabilities involved. This is not a joke course, okay? This is something that, in the case that it is abused, it will cause potential misgivings and issues that could have been avoided. So what I would like to say to you is that I would like some serious inquiries about this class. I would like serious information provided. You can fill out a form here to purchase the sources that I offer, the resources that I offer in this live. And then what it is else here is, in the case that you don't want to book through TikTok and you just want to book through me, that's okay too. But I would prefer that you just message me and let me know, okay? Just let me know what it is you'd like to do. Be clear in your intentions. I'm more than happy to help you. But since we are in an arena where we have a lot of scammers and trolls, the more clarity that is provided, the better it is, for sure. So of course I come to you with genuine intentions to teach, to protect you, and to offer you ways, more importantly, that you can protect yourself in the case that you don't have anyone to protect you. So with this said, this is going to wrap up the live and the discussion here. And I guess we're just gonna vibe and hang out for a bit. Thank you so much for the hearts. I love my 8.5 thousand hearts here. If you are interested, I'm also doing flash goals where if you send me gifts within 15 minutes, I get prizes and level ups. So that's pretty fun too. And you can definitely tap into that and have fun with it if you'd like. And yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, the more information that you have about like what the type of threat is around you, the better. But since it's the type of thing that you can only really gauge by experience, I mean, people charge money for their experience. However, sometimes the experience that a person has can save your life. And based on that, I guess you could say, potency of intellect, or that potency of effectiveness in certain situations, you want to at least honor that. You know, I'm not saying that you want to pay them all of the money you have and go broke and die. No, not the goal here. But it's, you know, and of course I'm saying that facetiously to make you laugh, but you know, you want to at least like find a way to contribute to the resources so that the resources can also sustain themselves while sustaining you. It's called an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem that not only clarifies things for healthful purposes, but also receives payment for its due justice and due diligence. So I hope this has helped you all. I hope this has made a difference for you. I love you all, and I hope that you're all having a wonderful day, that if you are interested in booking your classes with me, book with me. Thank you so much. And yeah, I guess we'll take it from here. I want to say I have my contact info on my YouTube channel. I have my emails, my phone number as well. I have any and all pertinent contact, and I do also have links to all of these. You can search around and you'll know like what this information is. If you're on my YouTube, if you're looking at my channels, if you've seen my other videos and uploads, if you've seen that I am active on YouTube and have those shorts uploaded here as well, you can do your own research and find me there. That's fine too. I mean, I'm just happy that you're here. Thank you for liking my live, and thank you so much for being here, Ascended Darkness. I'm super grateful for you. Thank you. And I guess that's really it, everyone. I'll probably be on live a bit later today for other reasons, probably a tech course, so you're welcome to join that too. Feel free to share this live with everyone. Thank you so much, Ascended Darkness. Shout out to you. Much love to G7. That's my family right there. And yes, so if you were able to catch most of this, this was a negative trust threat assessment introduction to the classes that I teach. And I actually support people who are survivors, because it comes down to what I feel is important for people to recognize about the threats that are around them, and also what it is that we can provide in the way of a concerted effort to build more concern for some things. I mean, I myself, I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I've been up close and personal with these guys. I know how they operate, I know how scary they can be, and I know how weird it can get, and what it's like not to have points of reference to refer to, like, okay, if this is my situation, what does this mean? And what does this mean? I actually had to map that cerebrally and then put it down to paper to understand what I was dealing with. And looking back on it, it made sense after everything that I had no idea that I was being trafficked because it was so covert. So in this negative trust class that I teach, since this all started online, I also had an especially integrated sort of intelligence where what happened online was also made real and tangible with what was shown to me in the physical that matched up with the hints that I received online. So that was a big, huge, important part of here, of this discussion here that I wanted to elaborate for you and kind of just clarify, because it was a very intense situation, and I just want to be the type of person that's able to facilitate people learning what the threats look like and avoiding them entirely so they don't actually interact in any dangerous or compromising way with these situations and people. So I just want to thank you for what it is that you've contributed here in your presence, for liking the live, for offering me the chance to express myself and to give back to my community and do this amazingly. Each course here, ordered through TikTok, is about an hour long, and it's like $99. But if you would prefer to book with me on different terms or circumstances, just message me. Let me know what your ballpark idea is. I can do extended sessions through multiple orders, but I can also help you figure out what it is you're going for in the case that you're looking for a live one-on-one session or a group tutorial. So just contact me, message me, let me know. And thank you for being here. This has been Tired Goth. I am officially wrapping up this live. Thank you so much for the flood of hearts. I am so, so grateful for you. Thank you so much. I love my fans. Love you, G7. G7 strong. Do me a favor and share this live. Make sure that everybody gets in here while it's still running. I'm going to play a song on the way out, and yeah. I guess we can just chill, ask questions if you'd like. I mean, it's basically, it's like, it's winding down now. I was way more involved in discussing these things earlier, but you know, we don't have to have like an all day like discussion of the negative trust aspects. If you have questions, it's more interactive here. I'm totally comfortable interacting with you to let you know, answers to your questions, what it is that you have. Like, if you have any questions about what the nature of negative trust is after having heard it, if you have any discussions that you would like to have, do let me know. If you'd like to book me as a keynote speaker, I am also open to this, as I can provide a lot of intel and a lot of speech content for what it is that I have come to observe and learn about this. And I'm just grateful for you all being here. Thank you so much. And yeah. Oh, okay. The song isn't loading, so I guess that's my sign to hop on out of here to skedaddle. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. And I look forward to your messages and class courses booked. Thank you, everyone. So long.